Now listen to me carefully. It's one thing to be loving. It's another thing to be lovable. Come on now, amen? A loving, lovable Christian, listen to this, is the most powerful argument in favor of the truth. And I want to tell you tonight that the world is starving for a manifestation of this today. All around us, the world is looking for a religion that is not theoretical, but is experienced in somebody's life. That the knowledge that they have has taken such deep root in their hearts that it becomes who they are and how they act.
So we heard a sermon about the investigative judgment. I don't remember the preacher's name, but it was absolutely so powerful. It really, really impacted me to make some changes in my life. He was talking about our names being read in the heavenly sanctuary and just our names ringing out in the sanctuary whenever they were opening up our books and reading about our lives and stuff like that, and what we want them to think about or read when they're opening up the book and reading our names, and Jesus reading our name and the angels hearing our name ring through the heavenly sanctuary. And it was so powerful. Things that I have been wanting to change and thinking about changing and struggling to change for a long time. It really impacted me to just make that change now, because there's not much time left.
You and I can be swept away if we are not careful. We need to learn to take personal, individual stands for God. Nothing to do with the crowd. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, meaning if my house chooses not to serve God, if my wife leaves God, if my in-laws leave God, if my children leave God, I will serve the Lord. How many of you will say, if the whole world leaves God, I'll be faithful to God? Can I see your hand?
This is Brian.
And this is Brian.
Yes, double Brians. I met him in our small groups last night, and it went very, very well, right?
Awesome, wonderful time. Just being a bigger part of the family.
You may have tried 1,000 times to overcome. And so you maybe even come to the theological conclusion it's impossible. And you know what? You're right. It is impossible for you to overcome sin by yourself. But is it impossible for God to bring light out of darkness? Is it possible for God, who says he's going to make a group of people overcome, is it possible for him to do what he says, yes or no? Do you see how this is an important issue in the area of righteousness by faith? It is not an issue of, can I do it? No, I can't. The question is, can Christ in me do it? Yes, he can.
Explosive results in our public evangelism. Does it bother you that there are people in your school that nobody hangs out with? What are you going to do about it? Does it bother you that there are visitors who come to your church and nobody invites them home to have a fellowship meal afterwards? What are you going to do about it? Does it bother you that nobody goes and visits the shut-in members in your church? What are you going to do about it? Does it bother you that your community service center at church needs staffing? What are you going to do about it? Does it bother you that there are people in nursing homes who have nobody that comes and visits them? What are you going to do about it? Does it bother you that you see homeless people who are cold and miserable? What are you going to do about it? Does it bother you that there are elderly people who have to bear the shoulder of hard work that they shouldn't have to do in their old lives? What are you going to do about it? Does it bother you that there are people in your church who are cold and unfriendly? What are you going to do about it?
We could say that this was probably one of our best outreach we've ever done, right?
Yes.
We could definitely say that, because the neighborhood that we went in, the people were so receptive. We met a guy named Julian, and we spoke to Julian for almost 45 minutes. And I could tell that this was a divine appointment from the minute first of all, he wasn't even supposed to be home, and we just started talking, and I could just tell that God had a work for him to do in the future. So as we're about to leave, well, let's back up. Like 2 hours before, we were getting ready to go on the buses, and we were going through an island. We were getting ready to sit down because they had like all the aisles. And then I literally tripped, and he's behind me, and I look down, and it's the Bible there, and I was like, oh, I guess somebody left a brand new Bible wrapped there. So I didn't do anything, but this guy over here took that Bible up and put it in his bag and said, yeah, I'm gonna return this to the lost and found.
Yes.
You know? And it was a blessing, because going back to Julian, as we were about to leave, you know, and I was like, okay, so you're gonna read it. And I was like, hey, do you actually have a Bible? And he said, no. And I was like, whoa, I don't even have a Bible. And David remembered that Bible. Yeah, we looked at each other, and it was just like one of those moments where it's like, God like provided this Bible to give to that guy. And David quickly reached into his backpack and pulled out that Bible, brand new, nice King James Version Bible, and gave it to him. And he was so excited.
Street is that one. If you just walk a block this way, and then that's the intersection, okay? So you're not too confused. So everybody's gonna make an exodus toward that intersection, and then you should be able to find out where you go from there, okay? Good. Praise the Lord.
How many of you have somebody in your heart that you truly want to see won over to the gospel? My friend, this is the first thing I ask of you. Pray for that person. And make it your goal in 2017. Maybe you have never given a Bible study. That's okay. The woman at the well had never given a Bible study before, but she got the entire village. But be serious about your faith. Be serious about Jesus Christ. And pray for that person you have in your heart. Win them over to the gospel. Use the training you got at this GYC to be a missionary everywhere. Lord, tonight, the last day of 2016, I want to make the judgment relevant by reflecting the ministry of Jesus in my life, in meeting the needs of those around me. Listen, brothers and sisters, this is not an easy thing to do. What you are responding to is not a flippant thing. It's not something that you just do on a whim. You are going to spend and be spent. You are going to be uncomfortable. You are not going to necessarily enjoy it. It will not bring you glory, but you are showing Jesus that you want to do what He did.
Guys, we are at GYC, and it's literally like 11:59 to New Year's. We're so excited. We just came out of the prayer session. Everyone's been blessed. So, 2017 is going to be amazing. Amazing. Yeah. I love it.
Lord, I want to give that foothold to you. I don't want the devil to have any more strength in my life. I want to have complete dedication to the work that you've called me to do, to help others to be able to see the beauty of putting on God's wedding garment. Brothers and sisters, this world is not worth being here. Let's get serious. Put on the wedding garment. Let Jesus do that work in your life. Let's finish the work by God's grace through His power and get home to be with our loving Savior. Come on, brothers and sisters. Jesus wants to do that work. He wants to, but He needs you to say, Lord, I'm giving it to you. I'm willing. Please take it and perform the miracle in my life. Praise the Lord. I'm so privileged to be in company with a group of young people and even some older people who want to go all the way with Jesus. I count you coworkers, and I'm thankful that we could be together in this great gathering tonight.